Well, good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're well and welcome back to the garage for another edition of Andy the Gabby Cabby, live from his natural habitat. Hope you are all well. Yes, did I think 3 live streams yesterday, all on varying subjects about what's going on in the country. And I was sitting there this morning thinking, and it's vitally important these carry on. It really is, because it brings everybody together. It makes sure that we talk. It makes sure that we swap ideas and we get unified behind what's going on. And as the title of this live stream denotes, it's all about this whole operation Raise the Colours, because it's very much more in depth than that. It's not just about somebody going around the motorways, the towns and the cities, raising our colours, raising our flags. There is far more to consider. Now, the thing about a flag, there's a lot more to it. What is a flag? Is it a piece of cloth? Is it a piece of old rag, or does it really symbolize something? Now, I found this, which really powerfully summed it up. A flag is more than mere fabric. It is a potent symbol of a nation's soul. Its colours, patterns and emblems weave together history, values and aspirations, rallying citizens in unity and pride. Raised high, it commands respect, evokes sacrifice, and stands as a beacon of identity, enduring through triumphs and trials as the heartbeat of a country. I thought that was a very powerful statement. I wanted to dig something out earlier. I didn't think I could quite find the words to give it justice. And a flag symbolises a lot of things, doesn't it? And at the end of the day, it's a symbol of who we are. But, you have situations where flags get flown upside down as a sign of distress, for example, so they can be used for different things. Very interesting. Earlier, I found this and asked on my X account. If you haven't followed me on there, please go and do so. I said, does anybody know what this is? It's obviously the George Cross with the sword in the corner. Now, this flag, if you didn't know, is the flag of the City of London. And the sword in the corner represents the sword that was used to effectively assassinate St. Paul. The City of London being the square mile. There are other emblems and other symbols that represent Greater London, but it very much stuck out to me, that symbol, when you look at what's going on in London at the moment. And, all the trouble, we do need to unite. We're seeing people, doing this all over the place. This is England on the roundabouts. I saw a funny joke about the French. I'm not going to go there, but again, look it up. It's on Twitter. Stop signs, all in England. George crosses everywhere. Now, one thing that really stands out to me as well is the attitude displayed towards us English by certain individuals. There's certainly a lot of commentary on social media about this, both ways. Well, what's happening, you're getting some that are all for it, and then you're getting others that are really turning around and denigrating it, saying it's some kind of far right thing, racist, we're all thick, you should be ashamed, yada, yada, yada. The list goes absolutely on. It is unbelievable. The media, of course, who shouldn't be listened to, play a part in all this. Here you go. This is from Basil the Great, again off X or Twitter. Operation Raise the Colours is also the name of another group that has encouraged people to put up flags and is alleged to have accepted a donation from far-right organisation Britain First. The Times reported, according to the research group Hope Not Hate, Operation Raise the Colours was co-founded by Andrew Currian, otherwise known as Andy Saxon, who was allegedly had links with the English Defence League and Britain First. I mean, the EDL, they're putting up that old trope again. The EDL hasn't been a thing for at least a decade. In some other areas, the raising of flags appears to be spontaneous, coinciding with a highly charged political time in the UK, particularly England, when it comes to national identity and belonging. There have been protests outside some hotels housing asylum seekers where Union Jacks and St George's flags have featured heavily among the placards. So, you know, that's the mainstream media's efforts at trying to denigrate what people are doing. At the end of the day, a flag denotes patriotism. It denotes patriotism. We're standing there and we're saying, let's take the England flag, England, for example. We have had just about enough of this and we're taking it back. We're going out, we're doing our flags, and we're standing there and we're saying, here we are English and we're done with this crap. That's what it's all about. There's no left, there's no right, there's no far right, there's no far anything. It's right, it's wrong. It's England and it's ours. That is what's going on. And the crazy thing is, if you look at this, for example, they wouldn't batter an eyelid, would they? Really? And we're seeing that all over the ruddy place. All over the ruddy place. It is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Now, earlier on, I saw a very, very, very powerful video that I would encourage you all to watch. And I'll leave you a picture and a name of that at the end of this, which really sums up all the sequence of events that's been going on in this country, well, for probably years, which has led us up to the point we have had enough. You know, at the end of the day, the English are rising. The English are trending. You look at that, 87,700 posts. That is what is going on, folks. And, you know, it really is something. What I want to do right now is play a video from Graham Moore, which is like a combination of stuff. And I think it's very relevant to the current situation. It's got a bit of Graham and a bit of Rupert Lowe in as well. And I think you really need to take a listen to this. Right, for some reason, I'm not getting comments on that, or I'm not getting sound on that. People are telling me it's just garbled noise. What I'm going to try and do in the background is download it, because it is very important that people listen to it. Very, very important indeed. I'll try and grab a copy of that straight away, because it covers not only what's going on, it covers the fact that you know, people are starting to understand what is going on. You know, what is going on here. I'll just find the actual page again. Please bear with me. Right. Right, let's just try and share this out again. Sometimes the sound does actually give you trouble. Someone just asked for the link. I'll give you the link. I'll put that in there as well. Present, share screen. Right, can everybody see that okay? And what I'm probably going to do is mute mine and play this, because that might be where the garbling is. For some reason, the sound isn't coming through. So what I'll do, I'll leave a link to that in my community post, and I really suggest that people go through and look at it. Now, one of the things he talks about in there is he talks about regionalisation of England, which is one of the things that they're doing to us, and that's here. You know, England is being broken up into regions. This is a construct of the EU. This is how they want to destroy the place. And Scotland has got big problems. Wales has got big problems. Northern Ireland has got big problems. We all do. Everybody in Britain and Northern Ireland has problems. And just to be clear, I said Britain. Britain's fine. British government. This is where we've got the problems. And it's very self-evident where the problems come from, where you listen to that video I just tried to play. Maybe that's why they didn't let me play it. But, you know, these are the kinds of things. One of the other things that Graham mentions in that video, and again, I suggest you go and watch it, is the British Nationality Act, 1948. And 1981. Now, one of the things about the British Nationality Act, particularly 1948, you see, when I was born in 1978, I was classed as a citizen of the UK and the colonies, even though I was born in England. Now, the reason I was classed as that is because part of the British Nationality Act, 1948, they basically said the entire Commonwealth, you could be British. So then what happened, of course, you get the Windrush generation and God knows who else getting on ferries and boats and everything and coming straight in here. And, you know, the demographic of this country started changing then, started changing before any of us even thought it was a problem. The British Nationality Act, 1981, other changes were made to solidify this up, including the fact that people with British nationality, acquired or otherwise, could stand for Parliament and be in the House of Lords and all things like that. So then the problems created by one were amplified by the introduction of another. And the rot continues. It all needs voiding. People say Great Repeal Act. Bollocks, get rid of it all. You know, we have massive issues. Now, this is a great video I saw, which really sums up my feeling on the matter.
Now, I've noticed that there's quite a few leftists out there that seem to be having a bit of a mental breakdown about us putting our national flag up. So the perfect antidote to that is just to put up more flags. So I've upgraded my flag to a much bigger St George's Cross flag, an England flag. You know what to do, people. Raise the colours.
Raise the colours. I loved the way the guy did it, where he literally raised the colours and put an English flag there. An English flag. Absolutely wonderful. Now, at the end of the day, we've all got a massive problem in this country, haven't we? We all have a massive problem. And that is this whole British Parliament, this whole government, this whole way of things being done. We've become divided. We've become, you know, it's destroying all of us equally. We have that problem. And at the end of the day, the reason all these flags are going up everywhere is because we need to be reminded, or we need to remind them of who we are. You know, it's very much England at the moment. There's nothing racist about England. There's nothing racist about being English. Nothing of the sort. It's who we are. And don't let them denigrate you. Don't let them do it any further. Now, a lot of people are mentioning this video here. England Expects. And one thing I love with the picture of Paul Thorpe there, he's got a Make England Great Again cap sat on the shelf behind him. I thought that was wonderful. And this is a video he did earlier, and I'll leave a link in the description to this live stream. England Expects, best video ever. And it was a replay of something that Peter Whittle did. And it really is very powerful. And what it goes over is all of the events of the last few years that have led us to this point now. The fact that the English are rising, the flags are flying, and the fact that we've got to a point in our history where we have had enough of all of it. Now, people talk about reform. I'm not a fan. People talk about advance. And, you know, I'm starting to get involved with advance. In fact, I had some communication this morning with them. And, you know, at least they're going to try and put this right. We've got to get our house in order. We've got to get somewhere with this. And, you know, we've got to get a chance to put it right once again. Let's have a look what you guys have said. Now, before I do, if you haven't done so already, please hit the like button on this. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't. It'd be great. We've got just over 400 in the house. So good to see you all. Steph Casely, good afternoon, Andy, my friend. I hope all is well with you. Beautiful day. Take care. It's very warm outside, isn't it? Very warm indeed. And really nice day. When I come in the garage, I have to walk from the house to the garage. Should walk outside, and it's beautiful. The Douglas of Murray. Hi, Andy. I've made a song about the fall of the UK. Is there any best way to send it to you? Either follow me on X and direct message me the link, or contact at andygifford.online. That's another way of getting it over to me. So I'd appreciate that. Hi, Chris Barnett. Hello to you. Good to see you. Hope you are well. Hi, Andy. Caught the live this time. Laugh out loud, Oliver. Absolutely brilliant. The video with Graham Moore, I'll put a link to that in the description as well, come to think of it, because people do need to see all of this from every angle. Jeff Redcliffe. Hi, Andy. Just got my pack in the post. They will be up shortly. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. You know, this is happening everywhere. A flag can be a symbol of freedom, our culture, our sacrifices. That's exactly what it is. There's no far right. There's no anything about flying your flag. I mean, one of the favourite things as well that the left tend to do is reminders, or they try and denigrate our flag by reminding us that St George wasn't born of England. And he'd never been here, and he was Turkish, and it isn't the only place that uses the St George Cross. You know, I said at the beginning, the City of London has the George Cross incorporated into it. England, Genoa in Italy has the George Cross incorporated into it. There are various other places. So fucking what? It's their flag as much as it is ours. If you're that ashamed of this country, leave. Spark Swain, a flag is a representation of the people and the nation. It means patriotism and love of country. That's exactly what it means, and that's exactly what we're showing these people, that we are patriotic. This is our country, and we want it. Did you guys advance UK yet, Brendan Miles? I've joined, and I'm sure many others have, and I'm hoping soon there will be an announcement that will tell us that many other people have as well. Let's hope that is the case. The London flag needs to be raised before Khan destroys it, Spark Swain. I thought, considering what goes on in London, the symbolism of the City of London flag was very apt. Very apt. Let's have a look. Just seen on the news that a young lady has been you-know-whatted in the centre of London. Police are asking for any info. Was that the one by Canary Wharf, Jeff? I read a headline about that in passing just before I came out. Afternoon, fellow patriots. Hello, BX01. Good to see you. Wow, English Sense are on today. Absolute bottom feeders they are. Absolutely. You know, speaking of that, I've just found another way I can do this. I'm determined you're going to hear this video. Let's find it. It was actually on my phone where I found it first. I thought it was a very powerful thing to look at. Yes. There we go.
Now, what I'm saying to you is, Rupert Lowe is at least talking. Actually, he's telling people what's going on, right? Scotland, somewhere in the region of 250,000 people in Scotland work for the administrative system of the Union, right? In other words, they're being paid by the English taxpayer. The figure in Wales is similar, not as high, but very similar, right? Now, what I'm saying to you is, people need to understand that. Now, Rupert Lowe, whatever this Restore Britain is, right? I haven't got a problem with Britain. I've got a problem with the British, right? And in particular, and Rupert Lowe should hear this, hopefully people will send this to Rupert Lowe, right? I have got a problem with the British Nationality Act 1948 and 1981. I have got a problem with the repeal, illegal ultra-vires repeal of the English Bill of Rights and Chapter 2, where they top and tailed it and have misinstructed everyone, right? And again, I've got a book behind me that tells you what I'm saying is factual. They have misinstructed everyone, judges, lawyers, solicitors, etc., that Parliament is sovereign. Parliament is not sovereign. We are sovereign. The people of this country are sovereign. And I hope the people win. I think yesterday's verdict may be the beginning of a national victory over a government that cares more about illegal foreigners than it does its own citizens.
It's so illogical, Kevin, that I'm forced to conclude that it's effectively part of a Machiavellian plan to punish the 17.4 million members of the British electorate who voted to, shock horror, leave the protectionist post-war socialist European Union. And I think, again, as you know, our majority of our ministers, the majority of our civil service, the majority of the people don't share the same view as the electorate who is supposed to be their boss. And I do think this is a kind of retribution through the back door, rather like devolution was, to try and break Britain up into regions, or break England up into regions, if you like, and effectively promote the Scottish flag, promote the Welsh flag, and denigrate the St. George's Cross, which is why I'm so keen that we do start to fly the St. George's Cross. I'm going to buy a flagpole and start flying one from the end of my drive. I think it's time for the English to be patriotic now in a peaceful way, and to show that we are ultimately the economic engine of these islands. We have always in the past embraced the Act of Union. But quite frankly, Kevin, I think devolution has been designed to damage the interests of our islands. We need to reverse it. We need to effectively get rid of the waste in Scotland. You probably saw the latest economic figures from Scotland showing that their GDP is now 55% is the state. Their deficit per household is now nearly £45,000 per annum. They are basically relying entirely on the English taxpayer, not just through the Barnett formula, but they are not creditworthy without being part of the union. The same with Wales, and yet the English are put upon, we're taxed into oblivion. The economic engine of this country is basically that triangle between Manchester, Birmingham and Leeds, where you've got 30 million people who basically are enterprising and run real businesses. Now, obviously we've had our financial markets, which Tony Blair and his merry band have done their very best to destroy through over-regulation via Financial Services Market Act. But at the end of the day, we need some serious changes in the way in which this country is thought through and governed. And the British people have got to wake up, because if we don't get that change by 29, we're going to have a big problem. So I urge everybody, join Restore Britain right now, and we can start to make a difference.
The other great news today was that Rupert Lowe got his guns back, where the British, and I'm particularly talking about Reform, who lied about him, right? Because he was talking about England. Everyone remember when he started bringing up the English Bill of Rights in the House of Commons? We need to be activated as a group of patriots who are English. Raise your English flags.
There you go. That's what I wanted to show you. Now, there's some very valid points that come out of that. Rupert talks about the Acts of Union. 1706 and 1707 Acts of Union joined Scotland and England together to form Great Britain. And obviously we have Wales as well as effectively you could call it a protectorate of England. Wales actually did have its own legal system at some point, but English law ended up being a priority over that. And later on, 1800, which came into effect in 1801 or 1802, you ended up with the Acts of Union, which joined Northern Ireland to Great Britain, therefore creating the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Now, the big problem here is the way that we are joined, because if you go back to the original Acts of Union, you ended up with a situation where England no longer had its own parliament, and we had this situation where we've got a parliament, a Westminster Parliament, which is a British Parliament. So you have English, Scottish, Welsh and Northern Irish MPs making decisions on England. And, the whole thing is just skewed. It is just skewed. And as Rupert said, we have to have a fundamental rethink about the way we are governed. Not only that, we have to have a fundamental rethink, this is in my opinion, of how we are coexisting together. Let's just say there's a political union and there's a common law union of friends, of nations, apparently, evidently. How would you want to coexist? I'm going to put a poll on that question, actually, on the channel, because I think that's an important one. And let's have a look at a few of these last comments here. Gary Ford, we white Brits need to get rid of that sense of British fair play and become tougher. Yes, we do, particularly the English, from what I've seen over the last day or two. Robert West, I've just watched a video that Paul Thorpe put up. It was done by Peter Whittle. This deserves an award. I would encourage people to go over and watch it. Abso-frickin-lutely. I would encourage as many people as possible to go over and watch it. I'm going to leave a link in the description so you can go and find it. I'll also leave a link to Graham's channel in there. Graham is very, very knowledgeable about the Constitution, and this can solve many of our problems. People need to be talking to him. And the problem is, because he's very much for the English rather than the UK or Britain, tends to be ignored by a lot of people, and that is a mistake. We need everybody who knows a little of everything. Jeff Redcliffe, this flag of England is a Christian symbol, and that's why the non-believers hate it. The amount of bile I've seen spilt over our flag is unbelievable. It really is. P. Wright, Advance UK, all the way. They are what reform should have been. And what I've seen so far convinces me, at least, they want to make an attempt to try and fix it. And, you know, let's see where it goes. I mean, they're saying all the right things, like, you know, our system of government, the way we are governed is no good. It's got to go. That much is true. Gary Ford, step 2, we need to form our own paramilitary groups to defend our women and children. It's funny you should say that, Gary. Again, this is from the old days, you know, Constitution type stuff. Look up the meaning of watch and ward. And this is what's happening in Bournemouth, where you've got groups of civilians, in effect, grouping together and patrolling the streets because they're worried about the safety of their own streets. It's called watch and ward. They're being labelled as vigilantes, but they're not vigilantes. And I can see this situation happening in more places. They are perfectly entitled to do so, you know, and hopefully in cooperation with the authorities, because it is a bit of a joke. Greenville Kemba, Watch and Ward was before the time of the Peelers, you know, Robert Peel and everything else. It goes back a long way. Greenville Kemba, got my England flags up in Wales, waiting for the inbred commie peasants to say something, but they won't, as they'll be dangling from a ladder. Yeah, we saw this. There was a video the other day where someone stood on the driveway of somebody's house, brazen as anything, and had a guy at him for flying a flag in his own garden. Shut up. You know, it's ridiculous. Spark Swain, your problem's the EU. That's a very good point, right? United Kingdom is nothing more than a political union. That's what people need to understand. It is a political union made up of different nations who have to get on with one another. That political union has been the source of many of our problems, and we've reached the point, a crescendo, where, you know, we're seeing what's happening. Movements come and go, and I hope that this movement stays, and I hope it progresses. I hope it increases tempo. Something has to happen. This can't whistle out. This can't stop like any other. It has to continue. You look at Germany, East Germany, West Germany. When the wall came down, they united as one people. They were German. You look at the USSR, another political union. When that fell to pieces, what were you left with? Russians. They were always Russians. You look at the European Union, in my mind, it's not fit for purpose. And when that goes, you will have French, you will have Polish, you will have Spanish, you will have all number of nationalities, but they will all get on. These political unions are the problems that we have had, the problems we experience. And the whole bloody thing needs a rework. Mick Hardstaff, I hate being referred to as British. I'm bloody English through and through. Me too, Mick. I totally agree with you on that one. Absolutely. And, you know, I had to fill a form in, and where they have the demographic bit on the back, it didn't say English. I bloody scrubbed out British and I wrote English, you know. That's what I am. Sam Jones, the English Constitution is the solution for England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. It is. It really, truly is. It needs to be looked into. People like Graham Moore need to be spoken to, because the amount of knowledge in their head can fix an awful lot. Void the axe at 70. There's things that people need to look at, right? The Acts of Union, specifically 1706, 1707, the British Nationality Act, 1948, the British Nationality Act, 1981. These are three areas that contain things that have screwed us over a course of a great many years. Now, when you start to learn these things, when you start to get the knowledge, then, you know, you become very relevant to the conversation because you know what's going on. Brown Tissue, Rupert Lowe should drop his movement and join Ben Habib at Advance UK. It's clear Ben wanted him to lead the party. I think it's foolish if he doesn't. Well, they've got different ideas about how to do this, haven't they? Ben thinks a party is the way to go. Rupert thinks a movement is the way to go. We don't need another party. I think that's what the sticking point was. But at the end of the day, knowledge is power, really. Knowledge is power. We all need to learn. We all need to educate ourselves what's going on. If you've got a flag, fly it. If you know something, teach it. Anything, just, you know, do what you have to do for the good of our country. And one last thing I'll leave you with. I don't know if anybody has heard of the Civil Contingencies Act. I was reading up about this last night, and it would give government the authority and the means to do a lot, not in our best interests. So it's very important that whatever happens and whatever's said and whatever's done remains, as always, as peaceful as possible. You just stand there. You stand there and you say, I am. Can't say any more than that. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for watching. There's about 537 of you in here at the moment. I appreciate that very much indeed. If you haven't done so already, please hit the like button, the old thumbs up. That helps the algorithm. If you're on social media at all, please just spread this everywhere. Knowledge, togetherness, everything. I'm nearly at 150,000 subscribers. I would appreciate it if you're just here. Please hit the subscribe button. Very much appreciate that. And I think that's about it. I may be along later with something else. I will try if I can and get along. Check out the rest of the videos on my channel. And that's about it, really. So enjoy your days. I'll see you soon. Toodaloo.